the general public for that one. Totally strapped. Take control of your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all. People dying, cheering, hurting, feeling crying. And you practice what you preach and what you turn the other cheek. Father, have mercy and guidance from above. You got me questioning. Where is the love? Or something. I guess. Hey everybody, I'm using my teacher voice right now. If you're still setting up, go ahead, but if you're not, let's get started. Okay? Thank you so much.
Yes, we'll go and say that.
Well, thanks everybody for coming out today. Give yourselves a big bunch of applause right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How many folks went out for no kings yesterday? No kings. Simon Higgs, who was married to the wonderful Michelle Higgs, told me that there were over 18 million people who representative of you all right here in Salem for the race, and I did not make it because Jim Lucas is still your member of the legislature. And so sorry also it's a little bit known in Republican circles because of my dad, Ed Whitcomb, who was a mainline Republican, and I think today people would think he was a Democrat. So the 9th district has always been my home district. And we had great candidates like Shelley Yoder, which we wanted to get in. And we have been represented by Lee Hamilton. We've been represented by Baron Hill. And they always connected with people, and they always listened to people, and they worked hard for them in Washington. And although we sent, today we are here because Erin Houchin has been ghosting us. In 2024, she was campaigning everywhere but Indiana, and she was campaigning for Donald Trump instead of listening to who live here. I was going to call her a lapdog, and then I thought, ooh, somebody's going to connect dog with the name of a female dog. Do we want people to think that Erin Houchin is a female lapdog? Anyway, she's not represented. Thank you. We have a breeder in it. So, although we sent her to represent us in Congress and prepare us for what this country needs to have a better future, her long-term focus and the things that she does in Congress got our pollution control, create higher energy costs, and healthcare that we cannot afford. That's what she's done while she's been there. And all those actions benefit wealthy individuals and corporations whose profits are going through the roof while Hoosiers are barely getting. So, Brad, my
I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 9th District. Thank you for being in such a wet day. I would put my to take a moment to talk about the frame what you're going to hear today. So, and if you want my opinions on these issues, you can look at my website, bradmeyer.org, and they'll give you more details. But, you know, really what I think about going into this is that we are the heirs of people that were brave and determined and fought to save our democracy 249 years ago. And we are in great jeopardy now, and that what they have done is at risk. So when I was a Navy engineer, a civilian Navy engineer, I took an oath to the Constitution to protect it from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we are facing that risk right now. There is a risk, and that risk is the policies of greed and control that Donald Trump is bringing to us with his MAGA collaborators, and we need to stand up for it. So, sorry. I think they hear taking that oath to the Constitution. Look around. These people are patriots. Jack, put your hand up. But today, all of us are patriots because we're all standing up for our democracy and protecting against a policy of hate and greed and control that they're trying to face. So I quit my job a year short of early retirement so that I could speak out against this. Because MAGA is undermining our democracy, it is destabilizing our economy, and it is stealing the future of our children. So the question is, what the hell are they thinking? Right? What the hell are they thinking? And the answer is, they're thinking of themselves and only themselves. Thinking about all of the money and all of the power. And so this is a far cry from life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that we have been promised. And that is what I'd like to think about while these other speakers are talking about the details of what we're facing. There's a bigger picture. So there's going to be people talking about economics, and there's going to be people talking about healthcare, and there's going to be people talking about what's happening in rural America. And there's a bigger theme. It's not just an attack on one thing, it's an attack on all fronts against our democracy. Thank you.
We're on schedule. Yay. It is my honor and it's just big pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Michelle Higgs. There's some stuff written on this page. I want you to just come on up here so I can thank you. This one right here is doing what people thought might be impossible, and that is to organize Southern Indiana. Michelle is from Southern Indiana. She spent some time around the world, living out in Southern California and coming back and trying to save us. She is the founder of the Rural Summit, of which I was honored to be part in 2024, and we covered 30 counties and 13 candidates, and we had forums and we had speakers, and I think that I know we moved the needle in a lot of places, and she is keeping it going, and I'm helping her a little bit, but that, and then she also is the co-founder of Organizing Indiana. And so she is going to speak to us today. And I can't even, I did this in yellow and I can't even read what I'm talking about. Yes. Oh, yes. And how federal policies and state policies are wrong. Cities. So take it away, Michelle.
Thank you. Zip code should not dictate your future. People often say rule is the proverbial canary in the coal mine because what happens first in rule is going to impact everyone else eventually. Maybe that's because coal mines are often synonymous with rural communities. When manufacturing jobs left America, the impact was felt in states like Indiana, and those jobs never returned. When the opioid epidemic hit, it hit hardest in rural and small town communities because, as we know, those communities were specifically targeted. Exploited labor created health problems that drug manufacturers like Purdue Pharma profited from. Same communities were then stigmatized as morally failing due to drug addiction. People wonder why do not trust manufacturers. It's because they lied on and hurt them before. As the mental health crisis, these same communities saw providers leave. Health medicating through drugs and alcohol was met with the same shame-based judgments that refused to legalize marijuana. Medicaid cuts now threaten the very hospitals and providers that address these harms. When our state house decided to make school vouchers universal, claiming the money goes with the child, they refused to acknowledge that most rural counties do not have any private or charter schools. That money simply leaves these public schools and goes to pay for what we can somewhere else. The hospital where my brother was born no longer delivers babies. Regional cancer. Hometowns known for healing waters became a super site. And sadly, the county is now trading new farmland and drinking water for a data center because technology is more profitable than food or homes. Small towns and rural spaces are now deemed expendable for the good of money. Rural is crying out for protection of water. government and really gets bias. Together, let's build a stronger Indiana, one where everyone, no matter where they live, can thrive. So now, when I say e pluribus unum, you say out of many one. E pluribus unum. E pluribus unum. E pluribus unum. Out of many one. Thank you. Christy, this is what I love about this. I get to meet people, I get to actually talk to people I've seen speak. And so, Christine, come on up here. Christine is working in higher education. She owns a small farm. She's a single mom, and she's an advocate, and she has a political organization. She and I are the same. But she has a much better costume. So Christine's going to come up and talk to us about the economics of living in Indiana and America if you're just a regular person. Come on up.
Hi. So, yeah, wow, what a great, I don't know how to follow that. So basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about Erin. And I mean, I know you guys have mentioned a little bit about where she stands and what she's been doing, but I just want to lay out the facts. So, opposition to student debt relief. Houchin voted against protecting the Biden administration's student debt relief program. Fact, many young Hoosiers in District 9 carry substantial debt or save in the future. Fact, Houchin has a workers in District 9, especially in factories, service industries, and small businesses, remain economically vulnerable. Fact, meanwhile, employers and executives benefit from lower labor costs, contributing to the growing wealth gap between top earners and everyday workers. Fact, support for the REINS Act. The REINS Act just restricts the ability of federal agencies to issue regulations. While promoted as reducing bureaucracy, critics argue it can limit protections for the public health, financial security, and fair labor practices. Reduced regulatory oversight often benefits corporations more than the individuals, allowing larger companies and wealthy stakeholders to accumulate wealth while leaving ordinary Hoosiers exposed to higher costs and economic risks. Fact, narrow workforce program prioritization. This I've experienced. This Houchin has supported targeted evidence-based workforce programs like Goodwill Excel Center. I was an employee of adult education, and those programs have been slashed beyond belief. My ESL program, I had started from the very beginning, worked it up to where it was a really functioning, productive program. I had the best numbers in the district for my organization, and with 22 students, it cut. Adult immigrants were just, see you later, bye-bye. Maybe you can go to the Excel Center up in Richmond or somewhere else. You know, good luck. Oh my gosh, I get emotional. Okay, well, yeah, I get emotional. While these programs provide some assistance, their narrow scope does not address Systemic workforce challenges. Many lower and middle income Hoosiers may remain underserved while resources are concentrated in select programs, leaving economic opportunities uneven and just unevenly distributed. So, yeah, it's great. Let's get folks jobs. Let's educate them to get in our workforce. But what about those other career paths that that students might be better suited towards? I've kind of lost hope that they could do what their dreams, what their aspirations are and their dreams, what they secretly dream. Yeah, I worry. I worry that we're creating worker bees without any thought to the future or the thought of themselves in the greater scheme of things. I want to jump real quick. Do I have a minute? 1 minute? Okay. So, oh gosh, I had a lot of stuff. Erin Houchin, we talked about that she had agreed to these, she voted for him. And then I found this letter that she and other Republicans and some Democrats signed to Robert Kennedy and Mr. Oz. It's already going to be cut. And, please, our rural hospitals are going to need this. Why did she even do it in the first place? I read this and I thought, oh my goodness, the Democrats have been on board 100%. Oh my gosh. And so last but not least, rise together against wealth untold, workers stiffed and gold stacked with pride, honest toil ignored, justice denied, billionaires' power excessive, surreal, drowning out reason so profits can squeal. Small businesses crushed beneath their unceasing beat, mega businesses blocking hands to compete, pollute, drill on, no care for the cost, just our earth and our health forever lost. Clean energy they mock, deride, and defame. Green solutions stalled, the leftist they blame. Dodging their taxes while our homes wash away, their fair share they fashionably betray. While they grow richer, we carry the cost. Our shared prosperity increasingly lost. They buy the laws, media, and courts, dream of Mars and posh lounge in their resorts. But for all our future, strong, fair, and free, we need each other for justice and equality. With hands joined together, we'll rise to repair a world built on fairness with hope in the air.
And every act is tough to follow, right? Oh my gosh. We're going to hear about freedom of expression from a man who leads some of the original philosophy, Aaron Scott Rogers. And he covers them and he makes sure that they go out on social media. Aaron Scott Rogers, this is the first year I've actually made a friendship with you, but I count myself very lucky, and I'm dying to hear what you've got to say. And explain the costume.
Well, listen. This group of minutes got her on the news left, and thank you for being in costume. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I thought we were a costume party here. All right, listen. It serves a purpose, and I will come to that. But ghosts and goblins and other things. And the freedom of the press, and I'm not technically a journalist. I guess what I do these days counts as journalism in this environment. You know, in a way, what we all do is journalism in this environment. You know, a tweet, Instagram video, the TikTok post. That is what the founders would have done. That is what Thomas Paine would have absolutely had a Substack. Alexander Hamilton absolutely would have done get ready with videos while he powered his wig. But so that is why authoritarians like Donald Trump are afraid. You know, speech isn't easily controlled. We all have our platforms in a world where their strategy is to flood the zone with shit. We have to flood the zone with things of us. So I joke, right? But like I said, there's nothing scarier than the attacks on our freedom of speech, of religion, of assembly, and these are foundational to what we believe as Americans, and they're increasingly becoming like treated like privileges for the rich and powerful and well-connected. So, given our unique situation in America, the way we value free speech, authoritarians are like Trump. You know, they don't just come outright and ban what you can say. They use the power of the state to change what words mean. They call January insurrectionists patriots. They call journalists the enemy of the people. They call liberal scientific inquiry woke indoctrination, and they call empathy weakness. Like, that is not. They don't start with the handcuffs. They start with the dictionary, right? And so then soon enough, what happens? You better watch what you say. They'll be calling you a criminal, fanatical, criminal, and I know my Q95 dads get that super trap reference. All right, yeah. And now, increasingly, they'll call you Antifa. They'll call you Hamas. They'll call you a terrorist. Right? Nothing says like labeling your political disagreement with your enemy, an extremist. And look, I know folks on our side maybe have been used to tossing the word Nazi around. Well, this word does have a meaning. And the people who study these things in our universities, they're sounding the alarm bells. They're saying, hey, these folks are doing Nazi stuff. So what do? They take over the university boards. They install university presidents. And it's downright Orwellian. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. 2 + 2 is 5. This is how you build a world where truth itself is suspicious. And it's not theoretical, like actually doing this. I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago. They designated Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. An organization that, as far as I can tell, doesn't even exist. They never used this terminology for actual terrorist organizations like Klan. They use it for silver-haired grannies and dudes in frog costumes. The butterfly is Antifa. They're eating the nectar. They issued this thing called National Security Presidential Memo. It sounds like the most boring thing in the world, and that is how it works. They bury extremist, really boring language. It's government by footnote. But what they are doing is they are designating common thoughts that a lot of Americans hold as indicators of terrorism. If you say corporations have too much power, you're suspicious. If you think our neighbors should be welcome, you're a rat. If you think police should be held accountable when they violate the law, then you are an extremist. If you say, hey, maybe that Jesus guy was on something when he's giving away all your wealth, and then maybe for rich man to get into heaven and for a camel through the needle, you saw there a lot. The Holocaust was legal the people who hid Jews were criminals. Slavery was legal. Underground Railroad, they were criminals. Segregation was legal, and the folks who stood up for civil rights in this country, they were criminals. So, the costume, right? What am I doing here? I don't know if you guys saw a little movie back in the day with Kirk Douglas called Spartacus. Yeah. So, if you don't know, this was a guy, a former gladiator, a slave who led a revolt against the Romans. And after a pitched battle, and Spartacus and his forces were defeated, the Romans come and they're gonna get their guy. They're gonna string him up, and he says, "All right, which one do you use, Spartacus?" And Kirk Douglas, he gets up with his chiseled chin, right, and he's gonna say, "It's me, I'm Spartacus." Then another guy says, "No, I'm Spartacus." And then another, and another. They can't kill the idea because the idea is shared. So when this government, when this regime calls teachers and nurses and librarians, even, butterflies, extremists, maybe the only thing left to say is, okay, well, I guess we are. If believing in justice makes me a radical, then I'm a radical. If fighting for equality and human dignity makes me Antifa, then I'm Antifa. And if it is terrorism, then I guess I'm a terrorist, and I don't know if a lot of folks are comfortable saying that out loud, but whether you admit it or not, that is what this administration thinks of you at this point. So, what are they going to do? Arrest 200 million of us if we all say, "That's me"? My favorite Hoosier ever, Eugene V. Debs, once said, "While there is a lower class, I am it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. And while there is a soul in prison, I am not free." And that is how we get through this thing, is solidarity with each other. So when they ask, who's the radical? Who's the terrorist here? Who's Spartacus here? Yes, I am Spartacus. Thank you. No support.
Underwear to wear, so
That's extra. Y'all need a paid subscription if you're going
Thanks so much, Scott. All right, now we have, come up here, Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone. Maybe Dr. Stone has spoken at so many events that you know all about him, but I'm going to read a little bit about him because he is so wonderful. He's a nationally recognized advocate for Medicare for all, an assistant professor of medical practice at Indiana University School of Medicine. He's the director and founder of Medicare for All in Indiana and a board advisor with Physicians for a National Health Program. He's just wonderful. He goes around and he speaks to 5 people or 500 people, and he is a gem, and it is my honor to present Rob Stone.
Wow, thank you for that. I've got to put my costume on. First of all, this says Medicare for All. This is a t-shirt for a group, and so I don't actually do scrubs, but I do a white coat to show my respect. Now, I've got to keep myself on track here because I know Trish is going to start stalking me very soon. Okay, I think I got this now. I'm so glad to meet you all. I'm so glad to see all these faces. And I know a lot of you, but there's a lot of you I don't know. For those who don't know me, I grew up down south, and I left to go to college. I did my medical training in Colorado. And then in 1983, I came back here to Indiana and moved to Bloomington. But some of you, there's some Bloomingtonians here, but I might have actually taken care of some of you in the emergency room in the years I worked there, including I worked in Seymour part-time for about 15 years. And, I remember being in Seymour and pushing Narcan into the vein of somebody with an overdose. And I remember a woman I took care of in Seymour who came, she'd been coughing up blood for 6 months. And why had she not come to the doctor yet? She had no insurance, she couldn't afford it. And the chest x-ray we got on her showed she had a big lung cancer, stage 4. Yeah, okay. So I haven't seen it all, but I've seen a lot. I've seen too much. And we got to do something here. We are the wealthiest country in the world. We're the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And yet we don't take care of everybody. Every other developed country, industrialized country, wealthy democracy, whatever you want to call it, guarantees health care for everyone. It can be done. It's been proven it can be done. But people say, oh, we can't afford to do that. The wealthiest country in the world is crazy. So Erin Houchin has been voting. We had a bad healthcare system before. She's been voting consistently to make it even worse. It's terrible. We've got to fix that. We've got to change things here. Now, a lot of people say that they're in favor of universal health care, but then if you ask them, well, so how are you going to do that? Republicans and Democrats, there's a lot of Democrats who will say that, but when you ask them how they're going to do it, well, we're going to make things better. Trust me. We're going to make some changes. Are you going to get rid of the insurance companies? I don't know about that. What's wrong with going after the insurance companies? What's wrong with and if you look at the idea of universal health care, when people ask, when they do polling on this, it's not, it usually polls about 60% in favor. This is not a fringe idea. This is not a radical idea. Like I said, all these other countries have done it. But Democrats 2016 in the Indiana presidential primary, Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton by 5%. By 5%. And what's the biggest difference between Clinton and Sanders? Sanders was right up front saying we need Medicare for all for everybody. Okay, so I could go on, but I'm watching Trish. She hasn't gotten up yet. Oh, I got 3 more minutes. Oh, man. Okay, we got time here. So I said we're the wealthiest nation in the world. We don't have the best health care in the world. We're not even close. But we not only have other countries done it, we have actually already done it here because Medicare is a program for people age 65 and above and disabled people and some other things, but basically for old people like me. Medicare came 60 years ago. So at 73, I've been on Medicare for years. I take care of Medicare patients. I got a lot of friends who are on Medicare. It really works. But think about who we Medicare people are. We are the sickest, the most complicated and expensive patients of everybody in the United States. And we've been taking care of ourselves through Medicare for 60 years. We've proven we can do it, we can do it again. Okay, now I'm getting closer to the end. So I'm going to go back to Evansville. So I grew up in a conservative Republican church-going family in Evansville. I have 3 brothers, so my poor mother, 4 boys. We fought over everything: who got the last French fry, who got to sit in the best seat of the car. And so my father, who was a lawyer, he preached that things need to be equal, a level playing field, equal opportunity. Everybody gets their chance. And my mother, she taught us to care for each other. She taught us brother's keeper. And if I had a sister, it would have been sister's keeper. But that's what we do. We take care of each other. These are not crazy, radical ideas. In Evansville and in all of southern Indiana, you know, when the tornado comes through, it kind of sounds like we're heading that direction right now. When the rivers rise, and the rivers maybe right now, we help each other out. So it's not a crazy idea, it's a mainstream idea. In high school, I went to church camp with my friend Ned Shaw over here, and we sang an old spiritual called All My Trials, Lord. Some of you will remember this. One of us says, if religion were a thing that money could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. And that's the healthcare system we have. The rich live, the poor die, they're getting beat up badly. We can do better. We will do better. And that's why I'm here. Brett Meyer came to me and said, I want to take care of everybody. I want to take on the insurance companies. I know there's some Democrats who are going to be a little uncomfortable with this healthcare thing. He asked me to help him out, and I said I was glad to. But you can look, if you want to check any of the factual stuff, the statistics, Brad's got them all on his website. So I need to chant a little bit here, and it's a simple chant. This is a healthcare chant from way back. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. Okay, now, one last thing is just sit there and smile so I can take a picture of you from up here. Oops. Okay, here we are. Thank you, everybody.
We've had some great speakers here, but we've got the main event right now. Oh, wait a minute. He's talking to somebody. Brad's going to come up here and talk to you for a few minutes about the tools of the oppressors, fear. Come on up.
So anybody that knows me knows she's lying because I'm not going to talk for just a few minutes. Before I get started, how many people have been married 20 years or more? My hands. And you wonder, why is he bringing this up? Because I need to explain something. For, I would say, the last 5 to 7 years, I've been in the habit of taking off my glasses and leaving my wife and say, let me find my glasses because they're getting blurry and I don't see them. And she's been telling me that I need trifocals. So when I got to deliver my speech, And for the first time, I used cards instead of big printed material. I can't read my fucking cards. I'm trying to speak, I'm impressed trying to coach me. I can't read my fucking cards. All right. So I'm going to take off my glasses and we're going to try a different way and see if I can get through this. They're upside down, other right side up. I can read them. My wife is right. I need trifocals. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk about fear, because it's being weaponized and it's being used to control us. Meyer is promising us a return to a fantasy good old days that never was, and they use fear and intimidation to keep anybody that's trying to tell them it's bullcrap under wraps. They're trying to keep us divided, they're trying to keep us quiet. So let's talk about what's really happening. And let's put the lie to some of the things they're saying. So they call us dangerous radicals. But the fact is the vast majority, over 90% of the politically motivated murders in the United States for the last 30 years have been done by right-wing liberals, not us. They have a report on that, and they took it down because they don't want anybody to see it, and they don't want the truth to come out. And they're pulling the truth away from us across the board. They're taking sensors offline so we can't get data on global warming. They're taking away anything that doesn't fit the narrow set of stories. When Democrats talk about white privilege, we're acknowledging an injustice. When MAGA talks about white privilege, they're bragging. And they're using this, anybody that doesn't look like them or talk like them or think like them, they're attacking. And then they turn around and they tell us that we are engaged in politics that's based on class and identity politics. You're doing identity politics. They're not doing identity politics. They're identifying people that they see as enemies. They're taking our voice away from us. They're spreading lies. They're spreading misinformation. They're taking away our ability to know what is true and right. That's what's really going on. That's what we're really facing. And they're using fear and intimidation to keep us silent. And you see that more and more every day. You see people scrubbing off bumper stickers. You see them not wearing shirts and we're self-editing to try to keep ourselves safe. Dr. King told us that at some point, silence is betrayal. Right? And the fact is, that's where we are right now. If we stay silent, it is a betrayal of our Constitution. It's a betrayal of our rights. It's a betrayal of each other. So I ask you, yes or no, are we going to remain silent? No! We can't be silent, that's right, because if we don't stand up for democracy today, we're going to have to kneel to dictators tomorrow. And I ask you, yes or no, are we going to kneel to a dictator? We have to stand up. And I have people that talk about, what is the purpose of a protest? What does this gathering mean? What do the gatherings from yesterday mean? What is the purpose of these gatherings? Because MAGA already knows we're pissed, so this is not news to them, and it's not helping, but it really is. Because we are not protesting, we're not coming together because we're trying to inform MAGA that they're doing things wrong, because they know we already think that. What we're doing is we're modeling courage. We're modeling courage. We are modeling courage for Republicans that know that this is a deep violation of their core values, and they stay silent instead of standing up for their own values. Yeah, it's on the list. We're getting there. Hold on. we're modeling courage for independents that just want a working government. They're afraid to engage in politics. They're afraid to engage with us to make things better. So they sit on the sidelines, and that allows MAGA to get stronger and do what they want. And we're modeling this for Democrats that are afraid to talk. And I'll tell you, frankly, this part of the speech, I mean, not part of my speech, but this time slot was originally for immigration, which is something I feel strongly about. And I couldn't find a speaker. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I couldn't find people that was willing to come up and speak. People that are active, they're willing to take a certain amount of risk, but speaking out, we're going to have to use our voice. We're going to have to take our white privilege out for a drive and stand up for these people that are correct. So we use our voice so that other people can find their voice. Because the fact is, we need them. We need people to start standing up. And it's going to be a long fight, but millions of people have already stood up. And every day, more fun. And we stand up and we come to these events. We are a beacon shining the way to a stronger America. So again, who I was referencing earlier has been talking to me about the flow of speech, and I'm going to slide off, and he'll admonish me tomorrow. Because we are at a point right now that silence is more dangerous than speaking out. We have to get past the fear. We're going to have to stand up to be bowed and kneeling for the rest of our lives. Thank you.
I don't know how many of you guys were at the State House a couple of weeks ago for the redistricting rally, but our good friend Matt Pierce was the one who followed Pete. And so to you, Susan Ryan, I say, come on up here, you're following Brad Meyer. I know you're gonna do just as great as following Pete Buttigieg at the State House. So come on up. Susan is a wonderful, oh gosh, she has done so much for the disability community, and she has focused. There are lots of focuses. The disability community needs a lot of help in many different ways. Her focus has been workforce development, a pioneer in this area, and she's going to tell us about the impact of state and federal policy. So Susan, come on up. Hey, Brad for Congress, Brad for Congress, Brad for Congress, Brad for Congress. How can I follow that speech? Everybody went to the rally yesterday, right? Yeah. My favorite sign was not held by a person, but it was on a dog. And just forward, don't shoot me, Christy. That's fabulous. Wish I'd have thought about it. But I'm so excited to talk today because Brad and I met not too long ago, and I really was taken by his commitment to think about the issues relative to people with disabilities, because rarely does that happen. And I'm here today to talk to you about the 50 million people in this country that have disabilities. Over 1 million Hoosiers have disabilities. And their voices aren't often heard when it comes to policies, especially policies around employment, healthcare, and they're so critical. We know that this is the largest minority in our country. I would hazard to guess that if I asked you, I'll ask you, how many people know a person with a disability or have a person with a disability in your family? Right, it's a huge impact. And it's no secret that the outcomes for people with disabilities are the worst of any minority. And 1 in 4 people have a disability, and the disability community is actually growing faster than any minority group because we as a country are getting older, and we're getting so much better at diagnosing disability early. And no, Tylenol does not cause autism. The other thing about people with disabilities is they're twice as likely to be poor as any other part of the community. And that's because you have to be poor to access services. So if I need services in order to be part of my community, I can't make money. And if I do make money, I have to figure out a way to put it away. So for the past 50 years, we've done a lot of work and we've made a lot of improvements in disability policy. We've made a lot of progress on employment, housing, community participation, and access to health care. But under this administration, the Trump administration, and with Representative Houchin's rabid support, we are losing that very quickly. The dismantling of diversity, inclusion, and equity initiatives, the DEI awful word that people talk about, those initiatives have led to people with disabilities being employed at a much higher level than ever before. And now employers are scared to death. And we are seeing actually a decrease in employment protections. There's changes to Social Security disability and supplemental security income that's making it harder and harder and harder for people to qualify. And nearly 1 million people right now are waiting on disability determinations. Some of them will die waiting. In our schools, the Office for Civil Rights has been gutted, leaving parents of children with disabilities to navigate a system that's increasingly unresponsive. And the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act was meant to guarantee a free and appropriate education, but without enforcement, what is that? Recently, the entire Department of Special Education was fired. These are people that help states identify and implement best practices. The loss of that expertise will be felt for years. And even food assistance programs like SNAP are being harder and harder to access. So these are not isolated incidents, they form a pattern of neglect. How much money are we losing in Medicare and Medicaid? $1 trillion. We're going to be losing $1 trillion. And guess who's one of the largest users of Medicaid and Medicare? People with disabilities. We're destroying public health infrastructure that protects and supports the health and the well-being of people with disabilities. And blaming mother for autism and causing stigma that we've worked so hard to eliminate. You know, circumcision vaccines do not cause autism either. Scientists that know this, RFK does not. And let's not forget the power of words. When a public figure mocks individuals with disabilities or minimizes their worth, it sends a message that disability is something to be ridiculed, not respected. That message echoes beyond the podium and seeps into policy, into perception, and into everyday life. But Brad is here to say enough. Right? He is truly committed to building an inclusive platform that takes the concerns of people with disabilities into consideration in health policy and more. Universal health care necessitates a disability inclusive approach that means ultimately better health outcomes for everyone, as Dr. Stone just told us. So Brad, I know you will be the voice of those who have been ignored. Disability rights are human rights. They are not optional. They are not negotiable. We must demand policies that uplift, not undermine, that protect, not punish, that listen, not silence. And I'm going to echo another phrase that we just heard. Let us restore dignity, inclusion, and justice, because everybody wins when everyone's in.
Now, she did as good as Matt Pierce, right? Yeah, right on, Susan. Thank you so much. I want the next speaker, Mr. Nick Marshall, to come up here. You guys, you are in for a treat. I've known Nick for 4 years now. Yeah, he is a dedicated, I gotta say, he is you hear this phrase and you're like, oh yeah, right. No, Nick is a dedicated family man. He is wonderful with his wife and his children. And Nick grew up with not all of those loving, caring moments in his own life. And I think that's what makes Nick such a great guy. He is a community activist. He is running for state senate, state 47. Okay. Senate District 45. And he's going to come up and talk about how these policies have impacted our community. So Nick, please come on up.
I don't want to unplug that. I like to walk around, so this is a little bit different. I can walk up. Good. I'm going off stage. Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Marshall. I'm running for Indiana State Senate for District 45. That is all clicking a little bit on Floyd. I know it's not your district, but I was asked to come speak and to kind of inspire you today. I want you to look at your neighbor and tell them, don't give up. Say it again, don't give up to your neighbor. That's right. And we've heard a lot of people talk to me about they're trying to repress us and they're trying to get you to give up. And let me tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up in the foster care system ever since I was an infant, but if it wasn't for two wonderful sets of foster parents, I wouldn't be the man I am today, a father of two. Just got to celebrate our 9 years of anniversary. And a fur baby, 4 years to But those foster parents range from a 40-acre farm to a big city in Louisville. They taught me about how to take care of one another, how to show compassion for everyone. It was a military veteran that showed me how to have true respect for our country and how to earn it. Also a farmer that put a shovel in my hand that showed me how hard work what it is like on a farm. Now, I tell you not to give up because they did not give up on me. I'm not going to give up on you. All right. And there are individuals in this state, just like Senator Schroeder here, that is not going to give up on you and fight all the way until next November. And what I mean by don't give up is because there are people depending on you. And when I've been running since 2021 and I haven't stopped. So what I mean by that is there are people in our community that is depending on you. Literally, we just had an individual come to us that runs a daycare and said, they're cutting the vouchers. How am I supposed to help a family that's already struggling that is going to be missing out on $100 to $200 a week that they don't have, and they're going to struggle even more? She said, I can't tell them that. It's going to be so hard for me to do. The other part was, because I can't pay my employees. How am I supposed to keep my business open? And where I'm at in my district, we've already seen some cuts every day. We saw some daycares already being closed. And eventually what's going to happen is those kids are not going to have somewhere to stay for daycare. But those are the things that we need to start fighting for, because people really are going to start to hurt and they're going to need our back, and we cannot give up on them. So, some other things that are going on in my community. It's hard to say these things, but I had an opportunity, and I don't like to say save someone's lives, but literally I drove by and I saw a group of young adults, and this young adult started to have a reaction. These kids did not know. I jumped out of the car and I came out and said, "What happened?" They said the young lady smoked something and the person that spoke to her ran off. So immediately I started to administer aid. And I'm sitting this girl for 2 to 5 minutes before EMS showed up. These are the real things that are going on. This is someone's daughter, someone's granddaughter that I have in my hands for the next 2 to 5 minutes until up the ride. These are the things that are going on in our community, and we cannot give up on them, because if it had not been there, things might have gotten worse. All right? And so she said I'm a wonderful dad and a wonderful husband. And this one started coming in last night. So my daughter ran into the room, said, "Can I get in your bed?" We said, "Come on." She goes, "I'm gonna hop on Daddy's side of the bed." And she looked, she goes, "Daddy, I'm scared." "What is that?" I go, "It's the rain." And I said, "It's gonna be all right." I just put her arm around underneath the blanket and tapped her, and she went back to sleep. So that's what we have to do for our communities. We have to wrap our arms around every individual that is going to need help. Because they are depending on you. They might want you to give up, but I'll never give up. Shelley Yoder won't give up. Trish Wickman won't give up. I'll tell you that. And we are going to do everything we can to make sure you thrive and don't have to give up. My name is Nick Marshall, and I'm running for Indiana State Senate for District 45. Thank you for having me tonight. Go get them.
I feel right at home with these guys, you know, from Seymour. And would you good people from Jackson County please stand up? I'm so happy that you're here. Jackson County is always going to be part of the 9th district, and God knows if it'll still be in the 9th district when these plans get finished with redistricting if they do it. But thank you for coming on up. But I also lived down in Albany, and I'm very close to where Nick was from. And our next speaker, Ethan Sweeney is going to come up here and talk with us. You guys, we met when Brad had his event at Atterbury. I don't know how many of y'all got to go to that. It was a wonderful speaking up for immigrants, and he's not going to give the same speech today, but he has an address about the Good Samaritan that I hope if you have a chance to ever hear it, you will hear that. But today, Ethan's going to come up and he's going to talk about affordable housing. So Ethan, come on up.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for coming out here. Thanks, Brad. Things like that for us. I am Ethan Sweeney. I am running for State Senate in District 47. Nick and I are State Senate neighbors out here representing Southern Indiana. 47 is here in Washington County. It is Harrison County. It is the other part of Floyd County that Nick is not running to represent. It is October. It is spooky season, and we've been talking about a lot of real monsters, right? We've been talking about the economy. We're talking about the cost of living. We're talking about some spookies running wild in our national and state houses. We're here because our representatives ghosted us, right? You know where we're supposed to feel safe? At home. For too many Hoosiers, home ownership right now feels something impossible. The other week, I was at Lanesville Heritage Festival in Lanesville. And I had a group of teenagers stop and talk to me for a little bit. They were pretty skeptical of the fact that I was a Democrat. They wanted an explanation. And I said, well, I'm working for affordable health care for everybody, affordable housing for everybody, and a good job that you can pay for both of those things with. And one of them had a great response. He said, well, you should work harder if you can't afford things. And I said, you're a very smart 16-year-old. That's definitely a solution. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever paid for rent? Have you ever paid a mortgage? Mercifully, he had not at 16 years old. I said, I got married in 2009. My wife and I rented a one-bedroom apartment. It was about $550 a month. We lived there for 3 years while we saved for a down payment. And in 2012, we bought a house for $135,000 in New Albany. And I asked him, I asked you rhetorically, how much that same apartment costs today. $1,200, same apartment building. The house that we bought in 2012 was sold in 2023 for a little over double the price. I worked on a garbage truck for 11 years all over District 47. It was a hard job. It was a good blue collar job. I've got scars from a German Shepherd from that job. And if I had that same job today and I was living in that same apartment, there is no path for somebody like me to get a house. That's the reality hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers are living with right now. And they want to know, how are our representatives going to help us? Who is going to stand up for us? Yeah, Brad, don't do that. People tell me every day, there's this old fable, right? That if you work hard, respect others, and show up for your family, things are going to work out for you. And that story is coming from a time where with a single income, you could pay for a house, you could buy groceries, you could pay for college tuition. And it's not like that anymore because we don't have a progressive income tax. We don't have a system with a safety net that nobody falls through, so people are willing to take risks and start businesses and help their kids get ahead in the world. Everybody's on the defensive, and we have to take care of people so people feel like they can get out there and do their dreams and take care of their families. 250,000 Hoosiers their families are making $32,000 or less. There are only 38 affordable rental units for every 100 of them. And of those lucky enough to get into one of those 38 units, about 75% are spending half or more of their income on rent. And they say, well, you should work harder if you want more. And the funny thing is, from the mouth of a 16-year-old, that's understandable. But when it's coming out of the state house and at the national level, from men who should know better, multi-millionaires who've had a silver spoon in their hand that they tell you to dig a ditch with, Hoosiers deserve better than that. We know what it's like to work hard. We know what it's like to see our neighbors in need, and we're ready for solutions, not excuses. The future starts with treating housing as a foundation for opportunity, not a reward. We can build housing for everyone through transparent and accountable public-private partnerships, expand tax credits for first-time home buyers, and turn vacant properties into affordable homes by using local contractors working directly with local residents. We don't need the big top down. We need the free Hoosiers to find solutions in our neighborhoods. If you're not following the Strong Towns podcast, do it. Buy their books. There are good solutions that we can do to free up our towns to build housing for everybody. Because affordable housing is a policy issue. It's a problem that everyone deserves. If you work hard, you shouldn't be worrying about having a place to rest and raise your kids so you can dream of the future. It's not radical to believe no one should be unhoused. Everyone should have shelter in our state. That is the Indiana I grew up believing in. That's the Indiana you grew up believing in. And Indiana is a place that chooses people over profit and housing over hedge funds. If you believe in that future like I do, and you do because you're in this cold building on a cold day on a concrete floor, thank you for being here, and thank you, Brad, again for organizing this. You have got to volunteer. You have got to knock doors. And especially, you've got to tell your story. You've got to tell your parents' story. You've got to help people connect with what is really going on in our communities, because it is our stories that unite us. It is our stories that get past the lies and the misinformation. And it is our stories that show the real monsters aren't the goblins and the ghosts. The real monsters are greed and neglect from leaders who have forgotten what home means and don't even show up at home very much anymore, if you know what I'm talking about. We can still fight the real monsters together. And when every Hoosier has a home, our communities stand stronger and safer. That's what Brad's working for. That's what everybody here is ready to work for. Let's pull together. This is a moment for solidarity, Indiana.
I can't help myself. I have a little bit of a background in housing from a investment banker standpoint. And I will tell you two things that Ethan said that I want to share with everyone, because there's a new practice in the real estate community called dynamic pricing. And the reason that that apartment building where you were living paying what, $550, did you say? And now it's 12, whatever it is. It's because they can price, they don't just do the 2% new increase when you have a new lease. Now they will use dynamic pricing, and they will look at the shortage of housing in a district, in a neighborhood, in a city, and they will say, we can get $1,300 for that apartment. Has nothing to do with the gradual increase that people could expect because of inflation to keep a housing place going. This is the evil of AI. AI can do a lot of good things, but I'll tell you what, when they get this dynamic pricing and they price Hoosiers out of places, decent places to live, that's one thing. Second of all, I worked very hard in 20 communities in 2017 to get a Fannie Mae program for down payment assistance. And you could get a home loan, first-time home buyers. But then they said, you don't have enough flow, which means you don't have enough people in one place. So we don't want to do it in 20 little towns like Salem, like Huntingburg, like Seymour, like some of these other little small towns in Indiana. We only want to do it in Indianapolis because we can, that's one place. So I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be up here giving a speech. I'm just here to tell you that when people can't afford something as basic as healthcare, as basic as housing, as basic as childcare, there is something desperately wrong with our country. So that's why I'm going to bring Shepherd up here. Yay! I've known him for a while, but I'll tell you what, I did not know until I got his biography that he was a writer for Billboard magazine for 15 years. And he's been a circuit and a club, hey, Raymond, a circuit and a club DJ for 30 years. Still does a little of that, but his most important thing that he does now, he is the president of South Central Indiana Stonewall. And South Central Indiana Stonewall doesn't just talk about issues, they support candidates who support them, and I'm grateful for your support. And by the way, my husband is the treasurer of the statewide Stonewall. He's the longest serving board member, and he and I both hold Wayne in very high esteem. So Wayne's gonna come up and make your day. Come on up, Wayne. Thank you.
I didn't know I had to make your day. That puts a lot of pressure on me. I will also be reading my speech. It sounds awfully loud.
Before I even get started, I want to thank Brad for sure. And I'd like everyone to give a hand to my friend Ryan, who is responsible for the sound today. He drove a U-Haul trailer all the way down from Indianapolis and hurricane force wind. So he definitely deserves a round of applause. So I'm going to throw a few statistics out there that you don't get too bored. As of last week, there have been over 1,000 anti-LGBTQ laws brought up in state legislatures across this country. According to the ACLU, 616 of the pieces of legislation went to committee, and over 100 of them came out of committee and were actually voted on. So far in 2025, 21 states, including Indiana, passed anti-LGBTQ legislation, and 6 states have passed resolutions to ask the Supreme Court to overturn marriage equality. So most of my comments are gonna be about the trans community today, because as you all know, the trans community is severely under attack from every direction. By far, the most of the anti-LGBTQ laws that have been passed have had to do with trans issues. Many of them made it illegal for trans athletes to participate in sports, and others were meant to keep trans people from using the restrooms to match the gender of their identity. I do feel like this is a good time to point out that as of January, there were 3 times as many credible sexual assault allegations against Donald Trump as there were trans athletes in college sports. Republicans want you to believe that it's trans people who are a danger to women. Trans people make up approximately 0.7% of our population. When we talk about trans athletes, the number drops to 0.03%. In layman's terms, that's less than 3 athletes out of every 10,000 collegiate athletes. But they want you to believe that trans people are a problem in sports. So I want a show of hands. How many people have been in a store or a restaurant and seen father taking his young daughter into the men's room? Yeah, I just saw it in Bob Evans last week. So the question is this: where's the Republican outrage? Where are the people who are up in arms that that small girl might be traumatized by what she sees in the bathroom? There is no outrage because it's a non-issue. The same is true of trans people. If you've ever used a public restroom more than a few times in your life, I can almost guarantee you that you've used a restroom with a trans person. The fact of the matter is that there has never been one credible accusation against a trans person in this country for any kinds of transgression in a public restroom. Not one. What this boils down to is that Republican policies are extremely unpopular, and they know it. So instead of dealing with real issues like the fact that farm subsidies have tripled this year under Donald Trump, or the fact that under the big ugly bill that they just passed, there are going to be rural hospitals closing all over the place, including right here in southern Indiana. Instead of dealing with real economic hardships that Americans are facing, they want to find scapegoats. It's the very first page of the Republican handbook. Whether it was Italians and Irish at the turn of the century, brown and African American communities, the hippies, the feminists, the gays, women who have abortions, they've always found someone to blame for their failed policies. Right now, we have a twofer going on. We're attacking immigrants and we're attacking the trans community. In the last 6 weeks, 2 U.S. Congress people have actually suggested that trans people should be rounded up, imprisoned, and forced into therapy. One of them is Nancy Mace, the other one is the guy from the 7th District in Texas, and I don't remember what his name is. She said absolutely nothing, as she usually does. I'm a lot of things. I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm not I'm a gay man, and I'm an American. As an American, I believe that we have the right to the pursuit of happiness. I believe that we have a right to live our lives in ways that make us feel comfortable. Erin Houchin believes that money should be spent on a registry of citizens who have abortions. Erin Houchin thinks that there should be a registry of trans people. I believe that people have a right to love who they love, and that no one should be denied medical care because they're gay, lesbian, or trans. Erin Houchin voted for the so-called Religious Freedom Act that would allow doctors and hospitals to deny health care to people based on their religious beliefs. I believe that terminally ill patients should have the right to end their lives with dignity and on their own terms. I believe that woman's right to bodily autonomy is sacrosanct. Erin Houchin has continuously voted against funding programs that will literally save women's lives. I believe that HIPAA rules must be enforced and upheld at all levels, and that important life-changing medical decisions should be made by patients, their families, and their doctors. Whether it involves end-of-life care, reproductive freedoms, or gender identity services. Erin Houchin disagrees with that. Erin Houchin believes that it's okay for people to be fired because they're members of the LGBTQ community. She believes it's okay for people to be fired for being who they are. Fire her! Well, we know who Erin Houchin is, and I think it's time we fire her.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I gotta tell you, I was just, at a No Kings thing, and we went over to Lockmuller's to have lunch afterwards. Big line, getting ready for the bathroom, and one of my friends who is transgender woman, we're just like in line, going in the bathroom. Nobody freaked out. We said, wait a minute, across, like, I can't go in there now. Anyway, thank you so much for bringing up something that, as you say, there are very few people, individuals who are transgender, but they are Americans. They deserve to be happy. So thank you for speaking up on that important subject. All right, now, Anushka, if you would please step forward. Anushka's just bringing that age curve of the speakers way down. Thank you so much for doing that. She is the president of the IU College Democrats. She is a graduate student studying cybersecurity and, oh, you're under, oh, well, someday she will be a graduate student. You're cybersecurity and oh, And cyber policy. Yeah. Something, that's way out there, only happening now, and we need to have smart people like Aniska leading the way for us. So come on up and tell us about you guys, the young people are gonna save this country.
I tend to bring the height down too along the age. Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're all enjoying this event despite the weather. I had written in here that I'm really glad Senator Yoder is coming after me, but I don't think there's a good spot to follow somebody up. I mean, this has all been really, really great. So, as mentioned, my name is Anishka Pandey, and I am the president of the College of Democrats at IU. Now, listen, Brad is doing a really good job of representing everyone across the district, but he is just a little bit older than us college kids. And so I guess that's why I'm here. But I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk about some of the ways that my generation are being affected a little bit differently than everyone else. So I'm a junior in college right now, which means that one of the scary things for me is the state of the job market. I'm going to paint a quick little picture. For the first time since the pandemic, the economy lost jobs in June. 13,000 jobs. When we got to August, economists predicted that we have 76,000 new jobs, and we only gained 20. For the first time since last Trump term, unemployment is at its highest. And I don't think this will surprise any of you, but signs point to all of this starting at the beginning of the year. Personally, I put money on it starting January 21st. Now, I've got a brother a couple years older than me who's already graduated. So I can tell you from him and his friends' experiences that it's really hard to get a job right now. And that's for people with college degrees who gained internship all throughout high school and now either are switching fields away from computer science, by the way, or are just stuck on the job market. For people like me who are hoping to get into the policy world, entry-level positions are being filled by people with decades of experience because of how many jobs have been cut from the government. All of that is before we consider how AI is replacing same job sectors that just a couple years ago we were told would be the fastest growing sectors. As Chris mentioned, the other half of my degree is cybersecurity, so it's really not going well for me. But as Brad reminded me yesterday when my own speech was depressing me a little bit, none of this is an accident. In fact, it was specific people that, and to me, pass all the stress on to someone else, and I heard there's a congressional office around here. I hope Erin Houchin is listening because she's about to be on the same market that she destroyed. Speaking of AI, though, just for a second, our environment is perfect. I would say it's a bit of an exception. The other day, I saw morning frost and 80-degree weather within 4 hours of each other. I love October. This is amazing. Meanwhile, our so-called representatives in Congress are more worried about their stock trades than regulating an industry that desperately needs informed governance. But no, it's okay. I'm glad that we're pretending solar panels don't work and that we're going to avoid the ugly windmills instead of, carrying the world that a lot of us are still growing. The water we drink has forever chemicals. The food we eat is putting microplastics into our brains, and we're suffering because of bad policy decisions. Now, I think that's not the end of the list. I haven't talked about, the economy as a whole, or LGBT community, or anything on the long list of people that are long list of issues that But I do want to end with one more thing, and that's youth in politics in general. I know that this moment is hard for everyone, but hear me out for just 1 second. I was 11 years old when Donald Trump got elected first time. I watched January 6th happen in high school pre-calc, and the first time I canvassed was after Roe v. Wade had already been overturned. I was only 17. You're doing great. With all of that, you'll understand that I don't blame people my age for not turning up. Why would they? I mean, it's a lot easier to spend homecoming Saturday watching IU go 7-0 than it is to spend protesting for a country that left us behind a long time ago. I know that everybody is scared, but most of you have seen a better America. Not a perfect America, but one with hope and potential for progress. Keep that in mind when you talk to people our age. We haven't seen it yet. To get there, to get us there, we need, first of all, fewer litmus tests. We need more well-intentioned conversations with people who don't know everything yet. And we need the same unite front tomorrow when there isn't a rally that we're seeing this weekend all across the country. That should be something that we can all agree on. Thank you, Brad, again for letting me speak. Thank you all for being here.
Brad's going to come up here and talk about democracy. I want to remind everybody that in 1960, top income earners in America and that top income class started at $100,000 with 60%. And these were the men and women who came back from World War II, who were the high income earners paying 60% for the privilege of living in the United States. So when we hear from these young people who have not grown up with the privileges and the comforts that we have, we need to think about shared sacrifice. We need to think about being bold for their future. Democracy.
Okay, I'm gonna take my glasses off again. That worked really good, being able to see what I was to say. But you all look very blurry. So we're gonna run over on time just a little bit, and this is gonna be my fault. And part of it was I had filled a schedule of speakers before I went away with my wife for our 40th wedding anniversary. And there was one night, Debbie had already gone to bed, and I was trying to get some writing done and think through things on this campaign. And I was doom scrolling, I guess the cool kids call it. And I saw an article that said that 2 people from Congress said that people from LGBTQ, trans people, needed to be institutionalized. And it made me so angry that I texted Wayne and said, I want to put you on the board. I want to open this up. You need to be able to speak to, or somebody needs to speak to the LGBT community, because we do have to stand up for these people who are under attack. The LGBTQ, immigrants, and anybody that isn't MAGA. We've got to defend each other because it's about all of us. Okay, so we've heard just a few of the things that are issues right now and under attack and things that we need to stand up for. That's Erin, right? So that's a sign from God. I just don't know what the sign is. So, and it's funny because the next line right here, if you can see it, it says, our Congresswoman should be standing up for us and our values. And she's not. what she's doing is she's rubber stamping this MAGA crap, and she's ghosting us. That's pretty obvious right there. Just when that fell, I was getting ready to say that. So it's auspicious. There are three things that we can try to do in response to this MAGA onslaught in all these different directions. And the first one is mimicry. There are politicians running as Democrats that say, well, maybe we need to talk more Republican. Maybe we need to meet them halfway, right? And here's the problem, right? The Democrats are here. The Republicans used to be here. And MAGA has removed themselves to 2 times crazy. And if you want to meet 2 times crazy halfway, that's crazy. It's not going to work. Try to be more Republican. Democrats are not going to show up for a Republican wannabe, and the fact is Republicans go across the aisle for a Me Too Democrat. We tried this crap in 2024 and we got beat, the worst in the history of the night. We need to stop trying to sound like Republicans. Option 2, we can assume that there is good faith where in fact there is none. And there are some Democratic candidates that are saying, well, we need to reach out and we need to be bipartisan. And I wish that was true. I wish we could reach out and be partisan. But the fact is that MAGA wants total control. And if we just dither around and try to make nice with them, we're going to end up in servitude, and they're going to get complete control of our lives, our economy, and our future. We can't do this. So that leaves, you might as well stay up because I'm going. I'm broke. All right. So the third option, in my mind, is that we find our courage. We need to screw our courage to the sticking place and say, we are Democrats, and this is what we believe in, and this is where we're going. MAGA has had us on the defensive for years. And as long as we're playing defense, we're never going to get any points on the board. We need to start playing our game instead of just responding to their game. This is why I've been prioritizing action. In 2 months, I had a universal healthcare forum in Bloomington. And then I took it on the road and I had a universal healthcare forum in New Albany. Then the day after that, I had an ICE protest at Camp Atterbury that got pressed from Rachel Maddow. And then we're having this event today in about 2 months. And I'm really my staff, right? And I wanted to thank you all for that. So, in addition to acting, I've also been listening, and I've been going from county to county, and this is what I've been hearing. People want 2 things. Number 1, they want a leader that's going to fight for them. And in these circumstances today, we need a fighter. We need somebody that will lead us in a direction that we want to go and that matches our values instead of just trying to sound more Republican and use this motherhood and apple pie crap that says, well, I want it to be more or a little bit better. We need to screw our courage to the state police and see what we really want and go for it. And the second thing that people want is they want a good, clean articulation of values. And I want to tell you where my values come from. My grandmother died this past August at 101. And in her eulogy, the minister said, this is how it began, she was a proud member of this church, and she was a proud Democrat. And this is what I learned from her knee. I learned that the Democrats are always reaching forward to a future that isn't here yet, and we're trying to summon a future that is better for everybody and more fair and more equitable. The life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is about all of us. We, the people, is all of the people. This is why I'm a Democrat today. We need to fight for these principles. We need to fight for an economy that rewards hard work instead of exploitation so that people can buy a house and that people can have a decent life. We need to fight for universal nonprofit health care because nobody should have to go bankrupt just trying to stay alive. And we need a government that's for the people. So what can we do? We have to build pressure. So, number one, you need to get involved. How many people go to their monthly, if they have them, monthly Democratic Party meetings? All right, put your hands down. How many people have no freaking idea how to get a hold of the local Democratic Party? All right, if you don't know, go to bradmeyer.org, put your information in, tell them what county you want, we'll get you hooked up. Okay, so we can fix that. Number two, support candidates. We need candidates, we need your support. So research your candidates, find candidates that you believe in and volunteer and donate and help them get elected. Unless, of course, they're running against me. If they're running against me, skip this step. Because I'm in a primary and there's other people and I don't want you to support them, frankly. All right, number three, and this is a big lift, we need you to run for office. Okay, you look at the Democratic Party, how many chairs do we have in the room right now? We've got 2 or 3. I can't tell who got their hands up because I have my glasses off. But the fact is that they need precinct chairs. And we need people for township, city, county, and state government. And we don't have a full docket yet, so you need to stand up and run. And when I do that, see, there's only a couple of people applauding because it's like, oh, I don't know, that's kind of scary, right? If you think that you're not ready, if you think that you're not qualified, look at the bozos the Republicans are putting in office. All right, you're fine. All right. And number four, you need to vote, right? This builds pressure. Okay, and this is the pressure that we need. In closing, I would like to tell you a very short story, which is not like they're always long. A couple of months ago, or a month ago, I had a discussion with a guy, and he said, Brad, you really got to stop telling people that you quit your job to save democracy, because that sounds crazy. And he's right, it's a little crazy. But the fact is, this is what's really crazy. What's really crazy is standing on the sideline with your hands in your pockets will destroy our entire democracy. We can't stand by. So I need you to join the crazy, the good kind of crazy that believes that courage is contagious, that democracy is worth fighting for, and we can turn the tide. Now is the time for us to protect and perfect our democracy. And I'm fighting, but frankly, I need your help. I need volunteers, and I need your financial support so that we can continue to do these types of events and we can start spreading the word. I do need your help. I'm fighting now. And with your help, 249 years from now, people will look back on us in our day and say, we were brave, we were determined, and that we saved their democracy for them. Thank you.
Give another round of applause for Brad Meyer, Congress. You're about to see something extra special, and that is Shelley Yoder. She's ready to bring the house down, and thank you, Brad Meyer, for giving us this opportunity. Okay, Brad,
We have talked a lot about monsters. We have talked about ghosts. We're going to talk about heroes. The people in this room are the heroes of this story. Anuska, we are going to bring back hope. Hope is not a feeling. Hope is action. Hope is behavior. Let me just say, over the last, 3 weeks, no, a month, when we first heard that we were going to bring maps in Indiana to help Donald Trump stay in power, it was you, the heroes of this story, that showed up within 48 hours and rallied and sent a very clear message that Indiana is the firewall. Believe me, we are a supermajority. If it wasn't for you, we would have done this a long time ago. But you are making your voices heard. You are not letting go of the fact that we want every vote to count. That is your voice and representation. That we in Indiana, we elect our leaders, not the other way around. You are the hero of the story, and Brad Myers knows this. He is not going to forget you. He is not going to ghost you. He is going to work for you, to serve you. We have heard about universal health care. We have heard about the buckling nature of high cost and medical debt of what Hoosiers are facing and their families, and the fact that they have to ask themselves when someone in their families gets sick, can we survive this? That is not the Hoosier way. We have talked about the fear mongering that is going on around immigration. We are better than that. Hoosier decency is caring for our neighbor. Jesus teaches us, above all else, love God, love your neighbor. And when you look at that word neighbor, it can even be defined as alien. It is loving even your enemies. Indiana, we know better. And we have talked today about the impossibility of home ownership. When people are not able to rent or own a home, let's just talk a minute about what we did last session with Senate Enrolled Act 1, the property taxes. When Ethan got up and shared that his first house was $138,000, folks, the property taxes on those individuals are going up. That's what we know. Property taxes are going up for those that need it most. We must do better, and we must demand more from our electeds who are elected to serve. And I want to just, because we've not spoken, we talked a little bit about public education and how we starve public education, and then we wonder, where are our teachers going? They're going to other jobs because we don't pay them enough to be able to pay their bills. When it comes to early learning in Indiana, when it comes to supporting our children when they come home from work or from school, our after-school care needs in Indiana, this past Friday, just 2 days ago, we got the most updated report. And the social scientists in Indiana who look to numbers, the top line read, after-school care in Indiana is an enormous problem. And you know that it took a lot for scientists to say that. It had to be bad when they label it enormous. It's a wicked problem. 5 out of every 6 families in Indiana cannot afford care. 5 out of every 6 families. And I'm sorry, these families are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make ends meet. and they still cannot afford childcare. There is no other area of education that we ask the following question. What's the return on investment? There is no other. We don't ask that from K through 12 education on what is the return on investment. We know that the return on investment in educating our citizenry is so critical. But when it comes to children, we ask this question, and the answer is actually the return on investment is for every $1 we get 13 back. So even that argument isn't changing minds and changing hearts or changing policy. We must do better. And when we turn our back on the answer, and that is everyone pay a little bit into universal family leave, that's why we need Brad in Congress. We can all benefit from family leave. Not only when we get sick, but if we have little ones, or we have aging parents, or a sick family member. If we all pay into it, it can be budget neutral. Every single one of us will benefit. But when we cannot even have the conversation, that's when the breakdown begins. That's when we send a message to the next generation that hope is in question. It is on us, the heroes of this story, those in this room. It is time we do a little bit more than we think we can, and a little bit more than we think we should. All of us are going to have to work a little harder in this next election to save not just democracy, but who's your decency? Who's your decency? That is what I say. So Brad, come over, please. There are so many great ways to get involved in his campaign. Contribute, volunteer, help him win. Because that's what it's going to take. And above all else, right now, before you go to bed tonight, reach out to your House representative in Indianapolis. Reach out to your state senator in Indianapolis and say, do not rig our maps. Do not cheat. I have spent my life teaching my children and my grandchildren. It is not right to cheat. Please don't send the wrong message to them, because you are the heroes of the story, and you have told clearly our legislators in Indianapolis, we do not want our maps changed mid-decade. Keep up the pressure, get him elected to Congress, and let's return Indiana to the I-state that it is, and that is being loud, independent, and being able to care for its citizens. Indiana, we can do better than this. And the heroes in this story are in this room. Let's get to work. Thank you.
All right, so very good. So I've been thinking about how we can, so we're all in here, and then we're going to have a costume contest, and then I'm going to send you some information. We can do a drive-by Erin Houchin's. We've got the police that are going to block off so we get through it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, I'm trying to think of a way that we can kind of summarize everything that you've heard today. And I think that this is it. I need to ask a couple things of you. Please, everyone stand up. Now take one step to the right. Now raise your right hand and swear to me you're never going to let a politician talk you into moving right again. All right. I'll tell you something. I've been cautioned that this is a partisan statement and it may offend some people, but we're way past trying to be neutral. We have to speak the truth. All right, so what I'd like to do now, everybody that has costumes, please go up there, including you who switched out. Come on up. All right. So as it turns out, We have 4 contestants. All right. So by applause. Dr. Stone, Spartacus, and you are Bob Ross, right? All right. So what we're going to do is Lisa, she's right. Okay. So we have, I think it's a tie. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna help you out here. If there's a tie for number 1, I have 2 number 1s. Yes, ma'am. Give 2 number 1s.
2 number 1s. The first number 1 goes to Bob Ross. And the second number 1, Spartacus.
All right, very good. All right, so I have medals for you guys, so don't wander off. So now we've got papers at the back. If you would please grab a card on your way out that says that I was on a ghost hunt. On the back of it, it has a map of what we're going to do. And we need to start lining cars up so we can do a procession by her office. No, sorry. You should play it.
Oh, okay. Hey, on November 8th in Batesville, Indiana, Franklin County Democrats and Ripley County Democrats have come together to plan a debate. We've got candidates from both sides of the political fence, maybe more sides of the political fence. So it's not just a Democrat thing. We're trying to bring everybody together. So yeah, people can actually see who's available in the primary. Because, yeah, we got to open it up, guys. We got to. So in any case, November 8th starts at 11, correct? And the debate itself will start at noon. We're going to have some soup and, hopefully it'll be warmer, but we'll see. We'll have fires going. And we hope to see you all there. It's a congressional debate, sorry.
Where will it be?
Batesville, Indiana, in the Liberty Park, in the pavilion.
All right, I want to thank all of you for being here. Grab a card. Let's get our cards lined up, and let's go right by her office. Thank you.
With all the speakers, Nick, Ethan, other speakers, Christine, oh, you're here. Susan, Wayne, speakers come up, let's get our picture taken with Brad, Meyer, and Uska. Thank you.